Okay, welcome to World Unity Week, everyone. And a very exciting session is coming up. And I will hand over to the HKL group. Thank you very much.
Hmm. Thank you, dear Hasina, and thank you to all of the organizers of World Unity Week for holding this sacred space, which is so desperately needed at this moment that we are living. And we are here on behalf of the Humility, Kindness, and Love Global Movement, and just so happy to share with you and to think about how we are all coming together into one common stream of doing good in the world, which is really what we're here to do. So I'm going to share a very brief introduction. My name is Anna Stewart Ibarra. I'm currently sitting on the beautiful land of Panama, and soon we will hear also from my dear friends and co-hosts here, Elisa and Amarpreet. We'll have a chance to share a bit about our stories and how we got involved with HKL. But before we talk too much, we wanted to invite everyone to experience HKL, to experience humility, kindness, and love. Because this movement is about connecting with our being, with our deepest true being, with our being that is humble, our being that is kind, and our being that is love, our divine essence that lives within all of us. And so, through the humility, kindness, and love movement, we share very simple meditations and practices, now reaching 83 countries around the world. And we begin all of our practices. Actually, we begin each day with this simple affirmation that thank you, Amarpreet, you can see here on the screen. So every day as we awake, before our feet touch the ground and throughout the day, we repeat these three phrases. We are humility, we are kindness, and we are love. So we're going to guide you through a very simple meditative practice, and then we will come back and tell you a bit more about the movement, share our personal stories, how the movement has transformed us. We would love to hear questions and comments from everyone who's connected, and we'll share some exciting, beautiful opportunities we can all join together in the near future. So I invite you to slow down for a moment and come within. If you're seated in a chair, maybe you'll feel your feet on the ground. If you're seated on the ground, maybe you'll feel your connection with the earth. Just take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. And follow along. Maybe recite inside as I repeat several times our affirmation. We are humility. We are kindness. We are love. We are humility. We are kindness. We are love. We are humility. We are kindness. We are love. And as we feel the vibration of these words moving within us and around us, we may notice a sensation inside, the feeling of the divine presence that is always with us, around us, that we are immersed in. And we can bring our attention to our heart. Maybe you want to place your hand on your heart or just focus your attention on your heart. And maybe you'll notice that your heart responds, that we feel our heart dancing within us, so beautifully moving day in and day out. It's not beating, no, it's dancing within us. Since the time when we are in our mother's womb, until our last breath. And this is the divine dancing within us, beating our heart, dancing our heart day in and day out, always with us. And we have so much to be grateful for to our beautiful Creator. This love that flows through us at all moments, although sometimes we forget. By connecting with our heart, we can remember and we can come home to our true selves. And from this state of calm, groundedness, beauty, we are going to share a very simple meditative practice. And what's so beautiful is that this practice actually was spoken about during the opening of World Unity Week. Some of you may have heard the conversation between Chief Phil Lane and Babaji Baldev of the Humility, Kindness, and Love movement. And the chief said, Babaji, we want to chant together. We must come together as brothers and sisters and chant. And so while we will not be exactly chanting today, we will be humming together. So let's have this hum, the vibration of these beautiful sacred words, come penetrate our heart, penetrate our whole being, and spread into the universe. I invite you to listen and hum along for the next few minutes. We're going to hear the guidance now.
For the coming week, we all are going to hum the word Vaheguru. This word is a tool to wake us up and to bring us into the present. This word is tool to meditate. This word, when it's hummed within, it awakens our insides. So for the coming week, many times every day, we are going to hum the word. And this is going to make us, to wake us up. And when we wake up, we would find that our consciousness is humble, kind, loving. Let us hum the sacred word Vaheguru while staying at the heart and listen to the sound of our souls while feeling that this humming of the word is awakening my inside. Spine, neck and head all aligned and straight, focused at the heart area. And we would feel that when our soul speaks, it remains in the present, it remains in the state of the present. It never leaves the body, it never moves in horizontal state to think. Soul does not think, soul just feels. Vaheguru, Vaheguru. Hmm. 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 Hmm.
As we feel that deep peace within, we feel that our innate virtues, the virtues that live within us, of deep humility, deep kindness, and deep love, can begin to flower within us, and their fragrance spreads to all whom we touch in our families, our communities, our workplaces, and in the greater world. And this is truly the essence of the HKL Global Movement. HKL is a movement for all of humanity, about recognizing who we are through meditation and simple practices like the ones we just talked about. And this is through the heart. This is the path to connecting with our being is through the heart. And we know that in the world we live in today, our mind is overactive, always stimulating, being pulled this way and that. And through these practices, We come down from the mind and into the heart so that we can live through our heart, speak through our heart, act through our heart. And as we connect with our being, we can rest and really enjoy life in this most beautiful way, being so humble, kind, and loving. And we then see that many of the problems around us are because we have disconnected from ourselves, from our being, and disconnected from others and from all life on this beautiful planet. So as we reconnect with ourselves and we become more peaceful, we can then spread this peace to others. But it all begins within us. And as I said before, we are now reaching people in 83 countries around the world. And the HKL movement began only in November 2024, so in less than 2 years. The movement has come at a time when there is a hunger, there is a need to spread peace, love, joy, optimism through the world. So there are no coincidences about why the work that we are all doing through World Unity Week has come to the fore at this time when it is most urgently needed. And with that, I would like to just take a pause and now welcome also Elisa and Amarpreet to talk a little bit about their own experience with the HKL movement, how it has touched and transformed their lives. Elisa?
Sure. Hello, everyone. So, I am someone who has been blessed with spiritual teachers from North and South America, India, and Tibet. And I've also been blessed because my work is in somatic movement education and therapy. So, I've been able to weave my spiritual life and my work in the world, my life together pretty seamlessly. And so I've been doing spiritual practice. I've been in spiritual practice and in for more than 45 years at this point. And about 10 years ago, it was 10 years ago, that I met Babaji Baldev Singh. And being there the first time with him, I recognized the universality. I don't even know how to say that word exactly, but the universe, it's not just universal nature, but the universality of all spiritual practices and how truth comes down to the least, the deepest place, the lowest place within us, and the deepest place within us. So upon meeting Babaji, I had the great opportunity for 10 years to travel around the world and be with them. And 10 years ago, 2 years ago, when the HKL movement started, I was already very steeped in practice. And what is very curious to me about beginning the HKL practice is that um, it began to my inner meditation practice and focusing on the virtues of humility, kindness, and love as who I am, what my deepest being is. That practice, these practices, allowed me to see it in the world more clearly and see it in the world and see it in myself when humility is happening, when humility is not happening. Um, but also that over these 2 years now, and having been at most of the HKL conferences, that now there's a real blurring of the lines between when being in meditation inwardly and in meditation in the world. And that's what I'm noticing right now is that very deep blurring of my personal meditation when I go inside and how I am throughout my day. So that's what I'd like to share at this moment.
Beautiful. Thank you, Elisa. Amarpreet?
Hello, everyone. Um, so let me start by telling you how I met Alyssa for the first time. I think we were washing dishes together at one of the programs a few years ago. And I would have never imagined that we'll be spending so much time together in this beautiful movement. Um, So a little bit about myself. I grew up in a very small town in India. It's called Chandigarh. It's the only well-planned city, in all of India, and was designed by Le Corbusier, a very famous French architect. And I grew up watching a lot of Hollywood movies, and so grew up in a middle-class family, not rich, not poor. And my dream from a very young age was to come to the land of milk and honey, to come to the US and really have a corner office. So it was not about at that time about money or power or prestige, but I just wanted this corner office that I saw, in English movies as the symbol of success. So that drove me, I will say, throughout my college years. I, worked very hard, went to the best colleges, came to US, and by his grace, worked at iconic companies like Intel, Google, and Square, and did very well looking back. And I remember this moment vividly even now. I got promoted at Google, became one of the senior executives, had a very large team, managing business worth billions of dollars. And I got an office. So I had this person who said, "You'll be getting an office, let's decorate your office." So we spent a month trying to, buy furniture, what will go where. And and this moment arrives where I enter the office and I was so ecstatic. And it lasted for full 2 days. That's it. Like after the second day, I was back to the same old self, right? Just and I realized that, I was not more happy. I was not more content. I had the same worries, and something inside me was missing. And that moment made me realize that it's taken me so many years to realize that what I was running after is not what's going to make me, joyous. It's going to make me complete, make me whole. And I didn't know what the answer was. I spent a lot of years after that just stumbling around. Like I knew the path I was chasing of this success, of this outward success, was not the one, but I didn't know what the other alternative was. So it required a lot of just trying out different things, talking to people, experimenting, running into walls is what I will say, happened. And then I discovered HKL, or maybe HKL discovered me, I guess, right? And I found that there's a different way of living. It's about going within. It's all the things I was looking for was inside me. I just had to point myself in, instead of outside to inward. And it's been such a blessing. I feel so blessed to be also be part of you all, because you are also practicing, being humble, kind, and loving. You're also practicing going inside. And I find that just through these simple practices, like I notice when I do them, I just, there's a change in me, which is difficult to describe. And I'm very thankful that I'm part of this movement. I'm very thankful that I'm part of this company today. So don't watch a lot of English movies is what I'll say. Growing up.
Thank you, Amarpreet. I haven't heard that story, so it's great to hear. We spent a lot of time together working on different aspects of the HKL movement, and now we get to know each other even better. So I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I grew up in upstate New York. My mother is from Ecuador, my father's from the US, and from an early age, I spent about the last 20 years of my life in between the US and Latin America, and in the last decade, more and more in different countries, living and working in Latin America. And I was always very deeply driven with the idea of service and serving, and the environment and nature always touched my heart so deeply. And serving people who had less, let's say, those whose voices had been silenced. And I entered a career as a scientist. So my background's in science. I went through and did my PhD in ecology, and I worked for many years as a scientist running international research programs, and then made the change because, again, this piece of service always touched me deeply. I wanted to work more with the local governments that were serving their communities that I saw had a deep commitment to making a difference. So I moved into the international, intergovernmental space, working with many countries across the Americas to improve environmental issues and science and policy and diplomacy. And I did that for the last 7 years. And we did a lot of good work, but I saw that we could only get so far. Like as Amarpreet, the word uses, you hit a wall, within some of the systems and structures and the values that we were living in and swimming in. You can only get so far unless something deeper begins to move. I was very actively involved in the climate change space and working on climate and health. And I would go to the international climate change negotiations where governments and ministers from around the world would gather. And what I saw was that these spaces that had been set up with such a noble intent, to bring nations together for a greater good, to address the greatest challenges of humanity, that they were failing. They are failing largely in the multilateral space. And we see that around us, a lot of the multilateral world crumbling. And what I saw also was that unless there were profound changes in the values that were driving this work, unless people were truly committed to cooperation, to doing good, to thinking about a greater good, that these platforms, these very expensive, sophisticated platforms, would simply be serving to perpetuate personal interests and national interests without truly meeting the goal. And at that point, nothing seemed to make any sense anymore. Like everything we've been working for the whole professional life, it's just like, okay, next, what comes next? And of course, there are no coincidences. So during this time, the HKL movement was born in, as I said, November 2024, and I became involved in the movement as a board member and now as a full-time volunteer, and began to experience how the movement was transforming me and changing me very deeply, much more than I could begin to understand. There is something profound, actually very deeply magical about when we can connect to this consciousness of humility. It's not about being humble or once in a while or, being kind to someone or doing an act of kindness. It is about becoming a consciousness of humility, that our consciousness becomes a consciousness of kindness and a consciousness of love. So we are always in this state of being. And it's through the practice, I'm not saying I'm there yet, but little by little, as I think Elisa said this in the beginning, we move, and I feel this in myself, into this meditative state so that the amount of time in each 24 hours, it increases, and I can sit longer each day in a state of kindness or a state of humility. I have seen profound transformations in myself, in my family, in my whole life, um, beyond, again, what I can begin to understand. And also so beautifully to see the changes in the people around me. So I hold a meditation circle also, and we share these practices in the meditation circle. And I could begin to see through these very simple practices with people from many countries and backgrounds, how they were experiencing a greater sense of peace in their lives. They were telling me, oh, during work when I had a conflict last week, I thought of HKL and it helped me through that difficult moment. Or when we did the dancing heart meditation, a dear friend in my meditation circle, I said, I suffer from anxiety. I generally shy away from contacting my heart. But through this meditation, I was able, and for the first time in a long time, to touch my heart and to come to rest. And I feel so much more peace. So seeing the change in myself, but also seeing the change in the people around me who we were sitting together in meditative practice has made me feel so deeply and fully committed to the movement and to helping to share the movement with people around the world. And that's now, what I eat, breathe, and sleep HKL, or sometimes we talk about wearing the HKL glasses. I think Elisa said also we see the world differently as we start to do the practice and we open ourselves to the practice. I wanted to take a pause there and also invite, there are some other people who are in the room, like I know Rick and Richard, who are deeply involved with the HKL movement, and to see if they wanted to share how the movement has touched them and their lives.
Please raise your hands if anyone wants to speak, and I'm not sure if the mics are open. If they're not, we'll definitely unmute you. So yeah, feel free.
Sister, the mics are not open. Would you like us to open them?
So I think only if Richard or Rick want to share something specific? And otherwise, we can open up for questions. I see Quinn is also with us, and Quinn was a part of the last HKL conference. So wanted to invite those who have been closest to HKL first and then just open up for general questions. Quinn, do you want to share anything from your own work? Because you also are so deeply steeped in HKL. I see Quinn leaning forward, so maybe we can unmute him.
I think he might be able to unmute himself now. I think everybody can mute and unmute themselves right now, I believe. Might not be true, but I believe it is.
Let me look.
I'm unmuted now.
Great.
Yeah, first of all, thank you for this. Thank you for this space. I guess the things that I would like to build on what you've already shared, because this is profoundly powerful. Spiritual principles like humility, kindness, and love are absolutely critical to be invoked within human beings in all walks of life in every way. My journey of the last 7 years, where I started living my life by spiritual principles, post, as Amapreet shared, I reached a dizzying height of material things, and the realization that it was never going to make me happy had me wanting to kill myself. And the last 7 years has been spent learning how to live, and the fundamental aspect of that is learning how to live by spiritual principles like humility, kindness, and love. I created a business which is to bring these things into the heart of business operations. The thing is that currently, as a species, generally, we are in fear. There is a lot of fear, and it's the fear which is causing a lot of the pain and the damage. So, for example, in business is a purpose currently is profit and growth, and at all costs. So to introduce humility, kindness, and love into business would require for people to be selfless, as opposed to be pursuing greed, right? So if your purpose is growth at all costs, profit at all costs, then in order to power that must be scarcity, lack, and greed. So the antithesis being humility, kindness, and love and selflessness goes completely against the counterintuitiveness of business as we generally know it. And Anna, what you were talking about, what you experienced, some of this fits in there as well. The organism of the organization is not used to what we are proposing we bring into it, right? The human beings are. Every human being is ready for this. The organizations will still be physically resistant. But what we're finding is when you bring these things into business and you can give people faith and not fear, magic happens. I've seen it happen in business now with founders and senior leaders, where they start communicating about being in fear and making a decision to act in faith, to actually invoke their principles of humility, kindness, and love, not just have them as words. Most big businesses, I'm sure Amapreet will back me up on this, will have kindness, caring, trust on their walls, and it will generally mean very little to most of those employees. Why? Not because they're incapable, but because the environment isn't there for them to feel safe enough to be held by it or to express it, right? The leaders themselves need to be able to feel safe, to be humble, to be kind, to be loving, But this is what this movement is an engine room behind. This is what we are a catalyst of, is that awakening of individuals, and then in turn bringing it into homes, schools, businesses, right? It starts it starts with sparks and then it grows. And look at what's already happened in 2 years with this movement. It's wild. So look, I live, I live and breathe, and arguably live and die by by these principles and by everything that's going on here in every aspect. And I just can't swear by it enough. I have lived my life, and I'll end on this. I've lived my life through spiritual principles, and I've lived my life through selfishness, right? And greed and lack and scarcity. There's only one way for me to live today.
Quinn, that's so beautiful. As you said, what is the right path to live and we feel it. We feel happy and peaceful. We know, our being knows. Janice, please go ahead.
Oops, I'm trying to. There we go. Hello, everyone. I'm so pleased to be here. Yeah, I was pulled into this in an unexpected manner. And when something like this happens, you can't not listen. Last January, when I was deeply involved in moving my nearly 97-year-old mother into memory care and selling her house and dealing with a cancer on my leg, and all at once I get contacted by Brother Phil, who says you need to meet Miguel in Bolivia and help them. And then I was like, oh dear, I don't have time for this. And then a few days later, I get an email from an unrelated, different group involved in the Interstellar Community Foundation, asking me, Janice, I know you know people in Australia, and I'd like you to help Rick and Lisa find some Aboriginal people in Australia to be involved in their Sydney event. And I didn't really know too much I didn't know anything about HKL, so I did my own research on it. And I went, okay, I don't have time for this. I don't have time not to do this. I'm obviously being pulled. And I say that not to just tell my story, but because I feel that's part of the power of this movement. And so I did connect them to people I know in Sydney who were embraced and have now become part of it from their Aboriginal backgrounds. And so what's, to me, the vision of Babaji Baldev Singh is in bringing all spiritual practices together, recognizing that the form may be different, but the paths, if it's a real true spiritual practice, the paths all lead to the same place. And that is what we need. And that is why I think when you look, you should probably show the video. Did you show that in the beginning? Please show
Video's
the video.
coming. Video's coming.
Oh, it is. Okay. When you see this video, you'll get the essence of how many different cultures, how many different spiritual paths are drawn to this. And it is a movement. And I've never seen any other movement that has as much cross-pollination of spiritual paths, which of course is what we need now. We have so many islands of coherence around the planet as this new earth is rising. And the only thing left, not the only thing, but one of the important things left to do is connect them together. And I know, Hasina, you work very diligently on bridging continents. And this is why I'm so excited you're here representing World Unity Week, and why I brought them to meet Ben is because this is a way that we've talked about cross-pollinating these islands of coherence to create a strength of that vibrational frequency that helps us all rise up to where we want in this new earth that works for everyone. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Janice. That was so beautiful. I think you've said it all. That was the great bringing us together. This is what this is about, bringing us together for this greater good that we are all here to serve with a common purpose, to serve humanity, to serve the planet, to serve the universe, to raise the consciousness which is needed at this time. And this is the moment. Here we are. So with that, I wanted to turn it to Amarpreet, who's going to talk a bit about the HKL conferences, and we'll share a short video as well that Janice alluded to.
Yeah, I think before that, I think Janice, I think totally agree with what you said. Babaji says that we have the same divine light, all of us, right? But what we do is we look at our external self, our clothes, so to speak, and that is what causes differences. So HKL is all about just connecting, within and realizing that truth, right? And that's a way that I will become peaceful, and then all of us one by one. So let me share a brief video about the last 6 conferences. And I can't believe we have had 6 conferences in the last 2 years. And even some of the metrics I was looking at are staggering. We have had almost 23,000 people who have attended a conference in person. Almost more than 1 million have watched it online, live online. And folks from 83 countries have joined so far, and the number is increasing rapidly, day by day. And people always ask us, what is so special about an HKL conference? And to be honest, I have a very hard time answering that question because, like, I don't think a small mind can understand what happens at an HKL conference. These are not like a business conference that we go to. Even the word conference, I don't think does justice to what happens there. And I think we have to come with a new name, I guess, right? But truly, something magical happens. Like some shift happens. I can feel it when I go to one of the HKL conferences. And it's not that we are told how to do, but I think we experience what this thing is, right? And leaders from different faith traditions attend, philosophers, poets, artists, folks like Quinn, from whom we can learn a lot about this. Pretty much I'll say well wishers of humanity, they attend the conference. And then something magical happens when so many amazing people get together. So would really encourage all of you to come to one of our next conferences. The next one is in Toronto, August 8th, and then in India in November. So let me queue up the video so you can get a taste for one of the conferences. Okay.
We rise with the sun, hands open wide, walking together, hearts full of light. No name too small, no soul alone. In every face we find our home. Whisper of grace, laughter in air, we lift each other with every prayer. A circle of soul shining above, bound by humility, kindness and love. We are one heart, one song. Smiles that heal, hands that share, joy multiplies when hearts care. Every tear turns into gold when laughter's story is retold. Flow like rivers, gentle and free. Love is the root of unity.
I always cry.
Yeah.
And I think part of my tears are the deep generosity and the grace. One of those images is from this video, and this is a recap of the last 6 conferences. And or this video, um, the flowers, the people walking in Bulampuri, and the flowers being dropped from these amazing drones, little helicopter drones that drop flowers over the flags. But those flowers are the metaphor of the grace that is falling from the sky and allowing this to manifest in the world at this time. And generosity is exactly what this movement is. It's as we said, the first spark of this when it first came into consciousness, came into Babaji's consciousness, and yes, the Sikh tradition are always very welcoming and housing people and feeding people, and that is so much the heart of that tradition. But that's what these conferences have become, a place where everyone is welcome, everyone is fed, everyone is nurtured, and all of it is gifted. There is no cost involved in attending an HKL conference. The next one, August 8th, which is the Lion's Gate, and I know there will be some activities happening, other activities happening across the globe, but in Toronto, Canada, all are very welcome to join us on August 8th. And in November, we will be gathering the weekend of November 13th in Bulampuri, and a great village of peace and love, where we come together, and that will be the 8th conference. So it will be when I first recognized that the 8th conference would be happening in Bulampuri, that putting the 8 on the side becomes the infinity. So I think November in the Punjab of India will be a very important time for gathering, and I look forward to seeing many of you there.
Thank you, Elisa. And I think there's not a dry eye in the house, at least certainly those of us, the 3 of us here. We do this work day in and day out, and yet our hearts are touched every time we come together and share and see our beloved friends and family all over the world, our family of humanity coming together. So I wanted to, as we close, thank you, Amarpreet, for sharing here. You can see the QR code where you can RSVP for the conference. As Elisa already said, all of our conferences are free, open to the public, open to the world, in person and streaming online. And the other QR code are for the weekly practices. And we opened the session sharing, really it was a combination of 2 weekly practices. A practice about connecting to the dancing heart and feeling the divine within, and the practice about doing the Vaheguru humming. So every week through HKL, we share a weekly meditative practice. And these are very simple practices that you can do a few minutes in the morning, throughout the day, in the evening. And these are what we call the most important tools that we have, really the center, the heart. The dancing heart of the HKL movement are the weekly practices, let's say. This is what keeps us moving forward, that transforms us. And this is really the most important thing. So if you take one thing away from today, I would say, please, please, please consider signing up for the weekly practices. Try them for a few days, for a week. Feel how the practices are moving within you. Share them with others around you. We also now have channels and practices in different languages. So if you're interested in that, please reach out to us. We can share information about different language resources that we're producing. We also have an app. Maybe Amarpreet can put in the chat there. We have an HKL Global Virtual Community, which you are all so welcome and invited to join. Also, nothing at no cost. So you can connect with, people all over the world who are so dedicated to transforming themselves and to sharing the virtues of humility, kindness, and love to everyone they touch around them. This is such an uplifting space where you can receive the weekly practices uh, in the app as well, and you can hear and see people all over the world who are sharing these through schools, through businesses, and in different ways in our communities. So we are so excited that you are now a part of the HKL family. Everyone here, we are all connected, and we can't wait to continue to deepen our relation also with Unity Earth. Thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts, Janice, and everyone, Ben, Hasina, everyone who has been making us feel so welcome and a part of one great human family. This is what we need at this moment to come together for the greatest possible good in a very short period of time. And there you can see Amarpreet dropped in the chat information about the newsletter where you can sign up to receive the practices, and also a link where you can sign up for the HKL app. Amarpreet or Lisa, anything else before we close? We're almost at the top of the hour. Well, the middle of the hour.
Deep, deep gratitude to all who joined us today and all who maybe are watching online. In the future, may it expand exponentially, that the world can be a better place with humility, kindness, and love.
Yeah, I'll just say that we have to do this together. HKL is not a movement by any one organization. It has to diffuse in the fabric of the society. So we all are HKL volunteers now. And in your own way, you are actually amplifying and living HKL. So really, really thankful that our paths crossed. And I'm looking forward to working with each and every one of you. Bye.
And I see a hand up also from Shonda.
Yes, thank you, sister.
Mhm.
And Hasina, excuse me, family. I see we have 2 minutes, so I'm going to try to make this brief. And my heart is so aware I may not be able to, so we will continue this in the empty space. But beloved sister Anna and Elisa, I have seen you before. Um, Last year, now these are literally connect the dots that are happening in my heart and my mind. So I'm going to try to, and a good phrase is babble through this. Last year, I believe conference was in Australia. So it wasn't that year, perhaps the year before. In the film you just played, I saw Brother Phil, all dressed in white, waving a swan smudge fan. So it was that year. So I am on the broadcast commission for Four Worlds, and we move around with Brother Phil. He contacted me that year, told me he was going to be a speaker, and asked us, is there a way we can bring a watch party into the One World family? And we did. During that conference, we were piggybacking your signal and sharing it out in the One World and Unity Earth family. And when I just saw that video, I went, I remember now. Because we do a lot of that for Brother Phil, but that was such a sacred, sacred time. And it was so beloved. And, our watch parties, just they appear overnight, according to what Phil wants. So it was absolutely amazing. And all I can say is welcome officially to One World. And thank you so much, whoever, I think it was Janice maybe that connected this properly. And I'm really excited, and my heart is so full about you being part of our family as well. So welcome, family. And sister, I'm going to be quiet now. I think we have web stream change. Thank you, beloved.
I think everyone enjoyed that.
Wow. Shonda, wow. That's all I can say.
Was that Jen? It was. Janice, look at how many Janice understands. They call her the hallway because just I'm sorry if I wasn't supposed to say that, but she opens doors everywhere. And I remember, was it last year that, no, I don't know, when you brought in the entire Australia hub fires. They're not hub fires, but anyway, I need to be quiet. We will connect later, sister. Love you.